Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day, and if you're going to bed, good night. If you know where that's a reference from, then congratulations. Otherwise, hello. This channel, it is the first video essentially, if you can call it that. It's not really a video, but you can consider it as channel trailer of some sorts, and you might be already clicking off and feeling a bit bored, but essentially speaking, this channel is meant for people who are feeling a bit lost, a bit confused, a bit thoughtful, a bit empty-headed, but at the same time full of thought. This channel is very much just a echo chamber, a pillow for people to shout in, for me to get my thoughts out in, and to just see how it's going and what's going on. So it's generally going to be this format. In terms of upping my quality, that might be something I consider if it becomes somewhat profitable. Get like better audio equipment, get some editing tools. I'm not keen on editing. I don't see the point of thumbnails because I'm not trying to advertise or profitize this channel. It's more so just me and my thoughts, because it's YouTube these days has become so commonplace that at times one might wonder, why not just do a channel. People have told me before in my life I should just have a YouTube channel, and so you got to start somewhere. So just make the video, and if it bombs and people remember me for this stupid video, I'll just delete it, I guess. It's going to be a long audio log rather than a video. So essentially this channel alone in dot dot dot, it's a composite, not a composite, it's sort of like placeholder word, because if in the future I feel like it's profitable, I might make other channels like alone in this, alone in that, but this is supposed to be alone in life. And the idea is that I'm alone, and maybe so are you, and we're just talking about different concepts in life. And I'm gonna try to keep them short, at most 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes of these logs of me talking about different topics. And over time, I might reference previous things. I won't talk about much about myself, if that'll be in the future video. So I'll just get into like a first topic right now that a lot of people are probably very familiar with. It's just sort of loneliness in a sense. And loneliness is, well, it's an emotion, it's a state of mind, it's a fact of life. It's a fact of life in the sense that if you are alone in a room, then you are alone. And it can be a state of mind as well, because you could be in a party and feel alone, and that's that kind of very special emotion that only very few people will understand, being in a busy party but still feeling alone for some reason. And then there's also the emotion of feeling lonely, where you can have people you trust in and those things, and that's more so boredom and loneliness, but that's a very complex state of mind, because it's being pointless, being unmotivated, being lethargic and procrastinating, that sort of loneliness. So, but it's not fair to just pick one thing and say that is loneliness. It has to be sort of a composite of all of the above. I myself tend to deal with loneliness. I'm living in a foreign country that's not my home country, and I'm by myself. I've got flatmates, not really roommates, but I barely see them. So yeah, I'm alone. I work a 9 to 5, so when I'm working, I'm never alone. But when I get back, I'm alone. So it can be difficult to deal with loneliness. And people have said were phrases like the 21st century male loneliness epidemic and these type of concepts. But there's the boomer way of thinking about it, that we're not really alone, is that we're so glued to our phones that we think of social interactions as more of a monetary exchange rather than it being more natural, that you're not really alone, that you're just thinking you're alone because you see people who are more better off than you. And also that combined concept of we're trying to self-inflict our loneliness in a cycle of pessimism. We play video games and then we don't learn social skills, therefore we stay alone and play more video games and we don't learn social skills. But that's what I do think that's got some weight to it. I do think that's a valid argument, because the boomers are right sometimes. Our generation tends to be a bit lazier, be a bit more temperamental, be a bit more picky, and that's why we're a bit more lonely. And at the same time, in terms of loneliness, it's something that's also not self-inflicted, because we're being told we need to work harder, achieve more, and do more. And in the past, because of the way life was, you could get married at a younger age because women were expected to marry, men were expected to marry, have kids. There was less social stigma and social prioritization. People just did things without thinking about the consequences. So that way, people didn't think about their loneliness much. But now we have loneliness, we feel lonely, and we think about our loneliness. That's why it gets so bad. But if you're feeling lonely, then I guess there's two ways to tackle it. It's to just avoid it to some extent, keep gaming, keep doing what you are. Because in the grand scheme of things, you only got 80 years, 80 to 90 years on this planet. So if you're lonely, who cares? It's only if it starts affecting you actually. And if that's the whole point, then just distract it some other ways. Get therapy, go to some sort of anonymous club, get a hobby or something, and just sort of distract yourself from that loneliness. And that's pretty much what I do, is that if you feel like you've got nothing to do and you're getting lonely, just do something else. That's the nature of it. And just keep doing it until it gets to you really badly. And then I guess you just wait for what happens, and maybe better men than me, better, more knowledgeable men than me will have better experience of what that means and how to tackle that specifically when it gets too much and when you become critical with it. But thankfully, I'm not at that level yet. So when I do, I'll probably contact those or ask those better men, I guess. And then the second option is to tackle it directly, try to socialize, get married, get a girlfriend, which is, it's also a double-edged sword, because if it's something you want to do, then it'll progress. Some of the best changes in my life was when I started exercising, waking up early, having a good sleep schedule and better diet. And you feel better because you are better, and you feel stronger and healthier, and that's true. But it can also be a double-edged sword in the sense that you could feel like, what's that word, where you're not really who you are. That phenomena where people feel fake. It's escaping my mind. Apologize. Imposter syndrome, where you're trying to be social but you're not, and that applies to me, because there's been times where I'll sit there, and when there was the time in this high school, middle school type of period where I was like, oh, I need to meet with friends and chill my friends and do social, and whenever they would invite me, I'd say, let's go out, and I would always feel drained and lethargic, and my social battery would always feel less. And that's another concept, is the social battery, because some people have batteries for 30 minutes, and it's not just your amperage but also your wattage. So like how much social energy you have and how fast you can dish it out. Some people can be really social for 30 minutes, or can be really social for 8 hours, or some people can be somewhat social for 30 minutes or be somewhat social for 7 days straight. So it depends, it depends on the person. And I think it's about finding your truth, finding who you actually are. And if I would say, I'm a guy who feels lonely and practically is lonely and get the lonely sensation, but my social battery is small. So I need to get out sometimes, in which I do. But at the same time, real life has made it such that it's hard to meet with people because of how hectic life is. So there's no definitive situation. It's just sort of living life on a day-to-day basis. And I guess that's the only sort of golden rule I can give anyone listening to this, is that if you're feeling lonely, that feeling will pass. If you are lonely, there's very obvious practical ways to tackle it, so just do it. And if you're just looking for some positive reaffirmation, then don't worry. I've been through a lot of my life and I've come to a very successful place, even though I am just lonely. So it's not something that's going to limit you. But if it's something that's bothering you, remember there are people who have been through much worse things, and just with practical solutions, they get through them. So even though it feels tumultuous and like an impossible task, at times, just with some basic practical rules, you can get through it. If you need a girlfriend, just get a girlfriend. If you think you're ugly, just start using makeup. And even if you're a guy, and start working out 30-20 minutes a day. If you're someone with no social skills, just throw yourself out there in an experimental group, like go to like some sort of, I don't know, trading card game convention, or like a tabletop convention, and use that in experiment. And when you realize you don't like it, use those social skills you learned on somewhere else. Just be a generally nice person overall. So yeah. So if if you want reaffirmation, don't worry, because life is long and you can do a lot with it. And if you just want practical solutions, then the practical solutions are there. And if you're just someone who just wants a guy to listen to or a guy to rant to, then that's what technology is for. Just shout in the ether and someone will listen and comment on this video or something like that. I don't know. So yeah, that's the general gist of loneliness. You can go into, I'm not much of a philosophy guy. I don't I know the basics of the philosophy, something you'd expect like a high schooler to know, but I don't read philosophy because not because I say it's useless, but I don't see the productivity of it. It's like I could read 30 pages of a philosophy book or 300, but I only remember the core concept, which is the important thing, is the core concept. Same with anything. I used to read massive books during my university years, and in the end of it, I would only, if you asked me to replicate the book, I could only probably replicate 2 pages worth of info, because the book was 500 to 1,000 pages, but all of it was fluff. So it's the same with anything, any concept. It's just trying to explain that concept, and if you get the concept, then that's fine. So that's a lot of the philosophers will say the Uber monk philosophy or Nietzsche's philosophy or fatalism. It's like you can pick one and just stick with it, but the core concept of loneliness, the emotion and the state of mind and the physical being, the philosophy won't fix it. You have to fix it yourself, and if you don't want to fix it, just find solutions to it some other way. Because in the end of the day, I think everyone needs strong imperatives. Imperatives being core things that matter to them. It's like, what do you want from life? If you're someone who doesn't know what they want from life, then that is a different problem. Then you're someone who needs to find themselves in the most sort of, part of my French, gay way of saying it. It's like, I'm trying to find myself. But you have to find yourself. You have to know what you want to do. Do you want to be creative? Do you want to be constructive? Do you want to be purposeful or utilitarian? And if you have to find your purpose, but that would be something for a different audio log. But once you found your purpose, the aspect of loneliness is just something you have to get around. So you need to find your purpose and imperatives, and whether it's work, whether it's family, whether it's religion, you just stick to those, and everything else doesn't matter. Just be a generally good guy. Don't use your imperatives as an excuse to kill someone, but just find your core, just find your reason, your purpose. Even someone like, I don't know, like Donald Trump would have his imperatives. His imperatives might be being a businessman or something like that, and he lives the way he lives, but he's got his imperative. And you might have another imperative of someone who's absolutely insane, like Christina Chandler, the Chris Chan, the famous internet 4chan celebrity guy, and his imperatives or their imperatives are probably something else. So, you know, that's it depends on person to person. So find your imperatives, and loneliness just becomes a byproduct of all the fluff. And there are good days, bad days, so don't take it too seriously. Um, in my closing remarks, loneliness is an aspect of evolution. It's your brain's biology telling you that you're alone, you're scared, you're risk to predators. Find group, find companionship, find tribalism. But in the modern world, we can't submit to those evolutionary needs. You have to think about it practically and do things practically. So that's my thoughts on loneliness, and I'll be uploading maybe once a week, twice a week, whenever. It's going to be a random upload schedule, but next topic, I'll see what I come up on. And I've got a few that I've been thinking of, but it's just sort of a ranty channel. So when I come up with something next, I'll just be working or doing something or meeting with friends and be like, oh, I should make a thoughtful log on that. It'll get political, it'll get nasty, it'll go to dark territories and lots of philosophical, political places, but um I'm not trying to advertise any ideology. So if you get offended, if find it problematic, then just let me know in the comments, and I would make a follow-up video even. And because I'm not trying to push any narrative, I'm not trying to support anyone. I'm just one person who makes a wage, who has got a job, a 9 to 5, and I just want to get through life feeling purpose, and I think everyone wants to do that. So don't take anything I take too seriously, even though at times I might feel I'm getting emotional or something like that. But just be good, be nice, And if you can't do that, then, be honest with your emotions and get through them. And then one day you will feel like being nice, and then the loneliness will just fade away until it comes back again. So till then, bye bye.